Hi there, welcome to Outdoor Gear Chat from Kendal Mountain Festival. We're here with the last in our series from this year, as amazing as it's been. I'm joined as always by Cathy. Hello.
Hi Wayne, how you doing? It's
I'm good.
less wet than last year.
Yeah. Yeah. After 2024's monsoon, it was unbelievable. We're joined today by Alex Staniforth. Hi, mate. All right.
Oh
We've
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I'm dead excited about this. I'm like a small child. We met first when I was doing a radio show quite a few years ago, didn't we? And books and loads of swims and chats and journeys since, I think. So it's amazing to have you on this. So we'll start off with, you call yourself the adversity adventurer. So tell us a little bit about why that is.
Oh, crikey. It's a little bit of a cringy kind of title that you kind of need nowadays. And to be honest, I think someone else gave me the name. And it just felt like it really summed up what I do because I've always used, adventure in the outdoors as my own way of overcoming adversity. And by that I mean, kind of childhood epilepsy. And the epilepsy was the trigger for a whole host of different challenges like having a stammer, which I've had all my life, a lot of bullying at school, and a lot of issues with anxiety and mental health problems, like depression and bulimia. And from the early age of about 14, finding the outdoors on my first hill walk in the Lake District kind of reframed my whole mindset in terms of what was possible and gave me a way to fight back. And so adversity and adventure is kind of what I do now. And someone I think used it after a talk one day and it kind of sounded good, so I just stick with it really. I can't remember where it started, but I think nowadays you have to try and stand out in some way.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure somebody will get in touch to say where that started from. Or there'll be various anecdotes that now emerge, telling us who coined the phrase. But if you'd like to get in touch, Cathy will give you a present. I'll buy a spork
What?
for you. If it was you, I'll buy you a spork. And yeah, so part of the adventuring and the adversity, I guess, is the stuff that you do, isn't it? The stuff that you do, particularly um, that raise money for your charity, which we'll come on to in a short while. But yeah, last year was a huge one. I've got to get the number right, and it was you became the first and fastest person to climb all 446 mountains in England and Wales by human power in just 45 days. It's just tell us a little bit about the story behind that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so on the 446 actually challenge was probably the biggest thing I've done. I mean, obviously Everest is the highest mountain in the world, and Everest in 2014 and 15 didn't quite go to plan with the earthquake in Nepal. And so since then, I've been more focused on like ultra endurance stuff kind of close to home. And I've been lucky to be in the lakes now for 6.5 years, which has really kind of enabled that even more. And I guess the reason for doing the 446 challenge was I think threefold. It was my 30th birthday in June, so I wanted to do something ridiculous to kind of mark the milestone. I've always hated birthdays, so being away in Northumberland on the day was just perfect. Um, for our charity, which is 5 years old this year, I wanted to try and raise £100,000, and I don't have a million followers on TikTok, which means I have to think of something ridiculous, and people like to watch me suffer. So I thought that would kind of do the job. And but I think thirdly, I read a statistic, around, just around sort of mental health and suicide and how that's the biggest killer of people under 35 in the UK. And so while I'm hitting this milestone, I realize a lot of people sadly aren't going to reach that. And I just wanted to use this as a way to open conversations and to, not only raise money to help people who are suffering and maybe haven't got access to that support, but actually to really just get people talking about it and get my own story out there really. So I guess there is a fourth angle to that, is that I've wanted to do this for quite a few years. I love the idea of doing things that haven't been done. I'm not really a fast runner. I'm not kind of a top level athlete. I like doing things that haven't been done before, and this
Oh,
was a
don't sell
first for me.
yourself short though. You are pretty quick, mate. You're pretty nippy. Don't, yeah, don't, yeah.
Well, you know I've done okay in some races, but I'm really motivated by doing things that are new, and it's really hard
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do that nowadays. It's really hard,
yeah.
and this for me, I lost my license last year. I had a seizure again after 17 years on the coast to coast. So I thought, okay, well, I'll start cycling again, and this challenge just brought all that together, really.
Yeah. And we'll switch to the charity if you don't mind. You founded Mind Over Mountains in 2020, and yeah, so what, a little bit more about that, I guess. How did that come about?
I guess it all started because of my own connection with the outdoors and mental health. And, I'm not saying it's a magical cure, but for me, running or cycling or walking or whatever it is, has been my way of managing my own anxiety and stress and depression since I've been a teenager. And it's very intrinsic to me now. But I think what struck me from a challenge I did in 2017, when I climbed the highest point of all the 100 counties in the UK, which was kind of the warmer pack to this one this year, made me realize it took me longer to cycle 5,000 miles around the country than it did to get the help I needed. And off the back of that, lots of things happened, and I worked with a company called Adventure Uncovered, and we kind of created this like pilot event in the Lake District where I wanted to kind of give people like, the kind of holistic self-help tools of walking in the mountains, coaching, counseling, and mindfulness, and just being with a like-minded group of people. Because I think it's easier to open up and have those conversations when you're outside walking side by side, and just to help people access the things that it's done for me. So we did that very first event, and we were blown away by the impact just a weekend away in the Lake District could have for people. That was then the catalyst to say, right, we need to start a charity so we can help more people. I never planned to start a charity in my 20s, but it was the right time. And we then set up as a charity, but then that thing happened in March 2020. So obviously we had to adapt and well, how can we help people during probably the most isolating period in our lives? And actually we just grew even quicker. And now, I'm still a trustee of the charity, but we've grown massively, doing events, day walks and retreats all across the country for the public, for the NHS, for the ambulance service, the police, lots of different people. But for me, the outdoors has been my natural health service. And I think more people need access to that.
Absolutely love that phrase. Yeah. Brilliant. I think, I've got a book somewhere written by somebody on this called The Natural Health Service. I think, and it absolutely amazing. And you do loads of talks, including one for me in my day job recently. You were at the company I work for doing some chats to predominantly blokes, I guess, but about resilience and mental health and so on as part of Mental Health Week. And that went down an absolute storm. I know we had an exchange about that, but yeah, it's phenomenal that you do that. And like you say, I always think I am the biggest risk to my own life as a male. That terrifies me all the time. So the more we talk about it, the better, I think. But sorry, I just want to go back to the event a bit because we are outdoor gear chat and it's an important subject on mental health and the charities piece. But as far as your kit was concerned, what were you wearing on your feet throughout? Were you going in walking boots? Were you going light and fast with trainers on? Or
it was a mix, I guess. In terms of mileage, it was about 3,000 kilometers in total over the 45 days. And so about a roughly 50-50 split on sort of biking and running. So I cycled in between them. So I had a motorhome, but I was entirely human powered personally. And I was switching between two models of shoes. That was the Innovate Trailfly Max and the Innovate Trail Talon, dependent on the terrain. I managed to slice a hole in one pair coming down Great Gable and like slips down some scree. So luckily I had a spare with me in the motorhome. And then on the bike, I was in cycling shoes. So I was like, honestly, I was like, a Hollywood kind of like stage actor changing into all these different outfits, or, depending on the schedule, because some days I might do like, 4 bike rides and 4 runs. So I'm having to change from bike gear to running shoes and trying to keep them dry constantly with the rain and everything else. But yeah, that was basically what I had on all the time.
And did you have the same gear? Was there a small selection of the same gear with you all the time then? Was it, you didn't have to do any emergency runs to local retailers or anything?
I can't remember we doing that. I mean, we had, we were really blessed to have this kind of 4-berth motorhome, and I had my very own kind of like allocated kit cupboard, and no one else wanted to go in there
because of the smell. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To be honest, I made a big mistake of not bringing more layers and more waterproofs, because I thought, it's going to be summer, I'm not going to need that much. And honestly, there was one day actually near Kendal, I was running about a 27-mile day around like Kentmere and Troutbeck and Kirkstone, and I was in a winter insulated waterproof jacket because the wind was that bad. So that was a big mistake on my part, was not bringing more layers, because when they're saturated, you can't get them dry overnight in a motorhome. And yeah, I mean, we didn't need to buy anything else because, you know, I'm very lucky that I was given a lot of kit at the start. I had enough for the duration. Nothing particularly broke apart from the bike. And the only parts that I didn't have were the things that broke. And when you're in the Pennines and in Northumberland, turns out there's bugger all there. You have to drive a very long way to get parts, and there's no space in the schedule to do that. So I had people, I had my partner driving to go and get some in Kendal to then bring it to me in the Pennines. It was just difficult. But no, I had kit that I tried and tested, because it's not the time to be trying new things.
Yeah. And were you wearing the same pack while you were running?
Yeah, all I had was the Innovate. I think it's the Ultra Pack 2-in-1. So that was pretty much for the whole duration, because it had enough space to carry everything I needed. Because there's some days when I'm running for 26 plus miles, or even one day I think it's 30 miles, where I've got no road supply. So I've got to carry a lot of flapjacks, a lot of food with me, a lot of kit for the day. But yeah, that was it was the consistent thing, and by the end of it, I was very glad not to wear it.
Yeah, well, was that your standout piece of kit for the event then? Would that be the highest thing up the list, or was there something else that sort of you think, but yeah, I really loved that, whatever it was? Flapjack, yeah.
I mean, if you ask me about food, I think that would be hard. That would be hard to say, because it would just depend on where I was and various things. I mean, I wouldn't say any of the kit really let me down. I think I wouldn't have taken it if I didn't like it or didn't use it. I think that the standout bit of kit, I think, from the whole thing wasn't actually when I was on the hill. It was in the motorhome, and it was these Normatec compression boots.
Right.
And I spent at least half an hour in there every night, and I got them from Sports Recovery Kendal. So they were amazing help.
IFX,
and so honestly, like every night having half an hour in those, I'm adamant that really helped in my recovery, because I got through the whole thing without any major issues, which is 45 consecutive days. I genuinely thought I was going to fall apart.
That's amazing.
So that was my favorite bit of kit. And I think my black Venture Light jacket was phenomenal. Like, just having that extra warm layer, even when it's wet, it's still warm, and having that was a lot of peace of mind, I think. And just lots of dry bags. Dry bags are the best thing. Actually, sorry, I've gone a tangent now, but a waterproof phone case makes your life so much easier. I wish I had one of those from the start.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Good. Top tip that. There's so many questions that I think we could ask, and we could go on for ages, and I hope that we do, because it'd be great to have you on again at some time in the future. Cathy, have you got any questions? Sorry, I'm conscious I do loads of chatting on these when I'm overexcited.
There was just some real key takeaways there, I think, for people listening and people thinking about doing like a big sort of charity fundraiser themselves, is don't go at it from the get-go. Do your build up. Learn what kit works for you as you're going through your training. Don't just wake up and decide to do something. Put the time in. And this was actually something that was really rammed home by one of our lovely guests, Di Gilbert, who guides commercially on Everest, and she was saying just use your kit before you do a big trip. So whether it is an expedition, whether it is a great big huge fundraising challenge, make sure you know where those zips are, and you know where those pockets are, and you know how to lace those shoes and things like that, because each of those little lessons along the way all add up, and that means that you can get round and have, 45 days injury free, Alex, is absolutely
phenomenal.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it wasn't totally injury free. I did have a lot of hamstring problems. And at one point I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to kind of carry on here, but it was it was manageable, because of a lot of that prep, and just because of a lot of the support I had and the help along the way as well.
Yeah, and isn't that
Well, listen,
classic that the layers, more layers in the Lake District on your home turf? Isn't that always the way?
yeah, exactly. When you can see home pretty much as
Yeah,
well.
you
That's
just
yeah, you're
like,
not
I
far.
go
Yeah,
out in this all the time. Why have
yeah.
I got this wrong?
Bonkers, yeah. So I'm really conscious of time. We're going to have to leave it there, both of you. Thank you so much, and hopefully everyone's enjoyed this series of the Kendal Mountain Festival Outdoor Gear Chat Podlets. We'll be back next year with more, I've got no doubt. But yeah, thanks, Alex, again. Lovely to speak to you, mate. And yeah, we've got to go for a swim soon. We've been promising for 18 months, I think now. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Cathy.
If you would like to know more about Alex Staniforth, you can have a look at his website at alexstaniforth.com. That's AlexStaniforth.com. Or if you would like to know more about the fantastic work that Alex's charity Mind Over Mountains offer, you can find their website at mindovermountains.org.uk. Maybe you are planning your own charity adventure and you need some kit. If so, don't forget to check out our web shops online at climbers-shop.com, or you can find the same site at joe-brown.com. And if you're looking for more information about getting out and about and enjoying your time in the fells comfortably, you can find loads of free knowledge and free advice at joebrownoutdooracademy.com.